And we're going to talk to some transsexuals who live right here in Orange County.
We're also going to meet a local woman tonight who claims to be a psychic reader. Just to kick everything off right, do you like country music?
Hey, I never say never to a Texas two-step.
Okay, you know, Jack Wade's Cowboy Club over in Anaheim is the biggest country nightclub in the West, and that's where we're aiming to head first, partner.
Well, shoot, howdy, partner. We got it all inside Orange County. From Trabuco Canyon, we'll take you to the famed Cowboy Club in Anaheim to see why Western swing is still the king.
We'll visit a sexual counseling center for a moving portrait of people who've changed their identities by changing their gender.
And finally, you'll meet the pro who brought tennis to Costa de Caza. All this tonight inside Orange County.
Come on in, cowboy. Your table's ready.
Put on your cowboy hat and your faded blue jeans. Shine up them cowboy boots. If it's me you want to please, I want a lover and a fighter and wild moon rider.
What? I promote fun. So when you ask me, how long is this going to last, I say, how long is fun going to last?
Put on your cowboy hat and your faded blue jeans. Shine up them cowboy boots. If it's me you want to please, I want a lover and a fighter and wild moon rider. Jehovah Jireh on this honky-tonk Saturday. Honky-tonk Saturday. Honky-tonk Saturday night. Thank you.
Well, that was a little bit of the New West. This is the Old West at the stables here at Costa de Caza. You know, I thought all those cowboys had pretty much ridden off into the sunset.
You know, I did too, but it's really Jack Wade himself who keeps things alive and lively over there. I think it's with all his games and contests and dance lessons and promotions. That's really what packs him in. It's not just the country music.
Oh, I bet those cocktail cowgirls don't hurt much either.
Oh, Nicole, I think you're positively psychic.
Well, I'm not. However, the woman you're about to meet claims to be. She's in one of Orange County's most unusual professions, and you're going to meet her right now. She's a fortune teller. It's all in the cards, you know.
Who's propositioning you, honey? Is someone propositioning you?
Round and round I go in a spin, love in a spin.
Okay, I'm impressed. The lady has a lot of common sense, but can she really do magic like this?
Whoa, I don't know about that, but she is a keen observer of the human condition, and therefore I guess you could say she is psychic.
Well, we want everybody to understand we're not endorsing anyone. As a matter of fact, we would urge, as she did, that you be especially cautious whenever you do business with anyone who claims abnormal powers.
That's right. When we come back, we will show you the abnormal powers of the tennis pro locally here at Costa de Caza, and we'll talk to some people who feel literally that they were born into this world in the wrong body, and that's next.
Place to see the sights.
And we're also just a backstroke or two away from our very next story, which happens to be right across Pacific Coast Highway at one of California's most popular beaches.
That's right. With summer here, we wanted to find out what does it take to be a lifeguard in Orange County. Believe me, it takes a great deal. Meet now some of the people that might be saving your life this summer.
Relax, I'm a lifeguard. I'll be down in a minute.
Right there. Come on.
Here we're just simulating it, but if it was a real victim, you just worry about getting them calmed down, because they're pretty nervous out there, and you want to calm them down and get them in as soon as possible without further panicking.
Do you think you could handle it if somebody were really dying out there?
Yeah, I think I could. I think I'm collected enough to go out there and save them, bring them in and do the job.
What we are looking for is someone that's aggressive, knowledgeable, who's going to be extremely well representative for the department itself.
There's just a handful now
But once, there were 90 or so lifeguard hopefuls. Michael Ike has put them through training and tests that have pared down the ranks to those who will have what it takes to save your life, or they won't be your lifeguard. This summer, we're likely to have 3,000 or 4,000 rescues per mile along our popular Southern California shores. I guess it comes with the territory in this sun and surf capital where we live.
Well, statistics show down here that we run approximately 3,000 to 4,000 rescues per summer for a mile of beach. The average guard is going to be in charge of about 10,000 people in a given day, and that's covering 400 yards on either side of his tower. As far as life-threatening situations, there's probably about 10% of those to 20% would have died if the guard was not on duty.
There's a lot of swimming involved, but it's mostly first aids and knowing how to approach a victim and take care of a victim.
Yeah, it's really hard. And you have to be a really good swimmer and not be afraid to jump off the pier.
You gonna make it?
I hope I do. It was pretty tough. The water's pretty cold.
From these final tests, a minimum of 2 and maybe as many as 12 lifeguards will be chosen. There are always last-minute changes. Lifeguards from previous years get new full-time jobs, but then they hate to let go of this old job. I guess being a lifeguard is sort of the ultimate fantasy of a summer favorite job. The training is therefore almost cheerfully accepted. Michael went through the same thing himself 12 years ago when he began his climb up through the ranks.
The basic test has been the same for the last 12 years as far as trying out. The guards have to try out first, and that's a pier swim, which is approximately 800 yards, then half a pier swim, which is 400 yards, and then we do a run, swim, run from Tower 5 down around the bait house and back in down to Tower 5. That sections off the swimmers from the non-swimmers, and then from that point on we go to training, which is what we've been going through this week here. At that time, I'd say it was a little tougher then, only because the surf conditions were a little bit bigger. They've been really mellow as far as we're concerned down here for the training itself, and the water was a lot colder. Then we had about 51, but due to this El Nino, which is the warming of the waters down here, we've had a really warm season as far as they're concerned.
Why is this important to you, this kind of job?
I want to work outside, and it's pretty fun. And then there's always the status of being, you know, lifeguard. Wow. Not very many girls can say that.
The gals that have been swimming in AAU programs can meet the needs that we have down here, which are the physical requirements. And we try to work them as hard as we can. We push them. We make them go through several swims a day. But during the regular course of the day, we'll send them through 3, 4, 5 swims a day in rough surf conditions and wind, cold, whatever, just to see who the person is that isn't that aggressive, who starts doing the whining and the complaining. And those are the type of people we phase out. The last 10% of the grade comes from instructor evaluation, and that's strictly myself and Mr. Crow's evaluation of their overall performance, our gut feeling whether or not they would be a good lifeguard or a poor lifeguard.
There's always been some romance associated with those tanned figures who search the surf with a watchful eye and rescue swimmers who perhaps should have stuck to jogging.
What is the status of being a lifeguard? How would the girls on the beach view you if you were in the tower?
More women would probably go out with because they're a lifeguard, you know, like a football player or something like that.
We have let guards go because they have sat and talked to people before, for example, girls on the beach and nowadays guys on the beach.
So the testing and retesting continued. By the time you see this story on the air, the best of these candidates may already be sitting on your beach. As we completed our day at Huntington Beach with the lifeguards to be, it seemed like a little relaxation perhaps was in order. Well, I guess it just proves the surf is unpredictable, even on a mellow day. And probably reporters should stick to observing or even jogging. And thank God they train them well.
I I know you're not Esther Williams, but I thought you could swim. You're not drowning out there, are you?
Well, we were going to have a little fun at the end of the segment, and
Fun.
That's fun. But let me tell you, by the time that last wave came in, I was real happy.
What you see here is a park called Saddleback in the rugged canyons east of the city of Orange. This park is one of the largest in the world, designed exclusively for the sport called motocross. Motocross racers practice a lot at Saddleback. There's elbow room, but most races are held on smaller tracks with mud hazards. Maybe you'd think this is a man's game. If so, it's time to meet Gail Webb, the racer known as Motocross Mom.
For the hopelessly romantic.
All on Inside Orange County.
Thoreau said, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. But there will always be some men and some women who will do it differently. They will push themselves. They will go as far as they can, and they will fly as high as they can."
The airplane is so responsive and such fine manners compared to normal production airplanes that it's just a joy to fly. It feels like it's an extension of you. It's very tight controls. You just move the controls slightly, and the airplane banks and turns and climbs and dives, just almost as if it's connected to your brain and not through your hands.
And if you're a Walter Mitty sort of a character and you think, geez, I'd like to fly fighter planes or something, and this is the answer, it really is. I don't think there's any personal home-built type aircraft that really compares with it.
You actually wear the airplane. It's just part of you, and the visibility is so good through the canopy that you forget you're in an airplane. You're just kind of up there flying by yourself.
They are all talking about a flying adventure, one that tests more of your skills than most of us are willing to put on the line. They are talking about building this airplane, the Long Easy, a plane that literally comes in a kit.
In 1980, we decided to build it, so we bought the plans for $250, and away we went.
The hard part includes work, endurance, patience, stamina, and the even greater art of juggling a daily time period for working on the aircraft with all the rest of your life.
We've been, over 2 years in the making of this airplane, and we really haven't given an awful lot of consideration of what we're going to do with it. When I started the airplane, my wife was pregnant, so we were a two-person family. Now we're three.
It's good to have a partner. That's one. Typically, you build them in somebody's garage. That's two. But three, you want to build it in your partner's garage. So we built this in Roger's garage, and
How did you decide on that? You flipped the coin, or?
I think at that time he had a bigger garage than I did. So,
It's been a long 2 years, and I'm glad to see that it's coming to the end, but excited too. Excited and proud that that he's persevered, and stayed with it. I'd be lying if I said that it hasn't been an inconvenience.
It's kind of magical now that it's all done. Everybody in our neighborhood, and certainly people that I worked with and associated with, thought we were crazies. A lot of people start to build an airplane, but not a whole lot of them ever finish.
And how does your wife feel about all the time you spend over here?
She doesn't like that too well.
and if you hark back to Burt Rutan, again the designer, he tells the story that when he worked for a major aircraft manufacturer, he was a design engineer, and he was also designed to build an airplane. He built it in his garage. And at one point his wife came out to him and he said, "It's either me or the airplane." And he said that was the easiest decision he ever made in his life, you see. So it could be a disastrous thing.
Partnerships seem to work really well for those who build these planes. You not only share the financial burden, but all the labor chores. After 2 years, Dick Krydell and his dad Sam are now just a few short weeks away from their very first flight.
Well, actually, what we'd been most looking forward to was getting it painted, and that happened today. So we were just very, very pleased on that. And now the next big milestone, of course, is getting it out to the airport and flying it.
Jack and Roger's Long Easy partnership began over 2 years ago, and theirs is the only Long Easy hangared in Orange County. They were our pioneers. So in a way, their wives are pioneers too.
It gets to be tough, it really does, because your husband is building an airplane. He's not putting an improvement in the family room. He's not mowing the lawn. He's not being with you and taking you places. He's building an airplane, and that's really about all he's gonna do. And there are times when he's discouraged, and you kind of have to live with that as well.
Do you ever have reporters that maybe ask for rides?
You're the first one.
The French called the experimental planes canards 50 years ago. That's still the name used for the front wing. And for all